You look shorter than me.
It is okay.
Okay, so hello everybody. Thank you for coming. This is Ronald, and he is from Uganda. He is only 31.
Yeah, 31.
Just a baby. So he's the same age as my son, actually, he's only a few months older. Hopefully our internet's gonna keep going. We're gonna try to make this a little bit quick because he's pressed for time. We both are pressed for time today, but what is really important about Ronald in our relationship is Ronald was like one of the people in my life who I was able to use my talents and my gifts towards to be able to help him. And over in Uganda, we have been able to help 65 children with Artists Against Hunger. It's on Facebook. So if you want to follow it, this is Ronald. And we started in 2018. And we now have a girls' home, a boys' home, 10 acres, and they do their land. They do like farm, banana. They do plantains, bananas, corn, beans. Right. So, but what I really like about Ronald's story is he can really show us a couple things. One, where I wrote about the kingdoms, the cultures being different, because obviously he's from Uganda, I'm from America. That's two different cultures. He has a tribe, and in his tribe, he is expected to do certain things. I don't really have a tribe. I have a family, but not like a tribe. So it's like more of an independent situation. Plus, also, he's really good at explaining, like when you take a really good thing, like and making it an ultimate thing, and because his life is like poured out in that way. So, and I just thought that having him kind of share a little bit about his tribe being very different than, for example, his wife's tribe. So his wife's tribe is a completely different tribe over in Uganda.
Yeah.
And that tribe had a big clash were they the Rwanda Wars?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you remember the Rwanda Wars,
The genocide.
it was a genocide, yes. And Ronald was just a baby when it finished, right?
Absolutely.
So, sorry, I got a little dog that's barking. Everything that could go crazy goes crazy. Okay. So, what's interesting is before I met Ronald, I was in university and I'd watched a documentary on the two tribes and being in genocide with each other. And what are the tribes called?
The Tutsi and the Hutus.
So Ron is a Hutu and his wife is a Tutsi. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
So back in 2092 is when it stopped. 2000 when did they stop doing it?
The genocide.
No, 1992, right?
Yeah, it was 1990 to 1994. Right.
So when I was in university, though, in 2019, I had watched a documentary, and I didn't know at the time that what they were fighting over was an element in the ground that made our Nintendos. And I thought, wow, God, if there's any way I can help the people of Uganda, especially these two tribes, because I always bought video games for my family, as most Americans did. And it was something good, but I didn't know that somewhere in the other part of the world, something good like playing video games was the ultimate thing. And that ultimate thing turned into a genocide. And the fact that Ronald and his wife are from both tribes, it just made me want to help Ronald even more. It was just like a sign from God that, okay, Jody, here's your chance. You said you wanted to help. So here we are. But I wanted Ronald to talk about a little bit about his wife being a Tutsi and the pressure of the two cultures marrying into each other, where, like the tribes are both very good, but there's some pressure that can become an ultimate thing, or even the race, right? The race is very good, but it can become an ultimate thing. And even though when Ronald was born, the Rwanda wars were going on, him and his wife had to work through some issues. So I want him to tell you about that. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ronald from Uganda. So I'm grateful to God to be here. So sharing about my story. Um, my wife's tribe, being a Tutsi, there is not any way they would allow someone else to marry from them. So they consider all other tribes Hutus. So if anyone is not coming from their tribe, that Tutsis, they don't mind, they don't care. If you're not coming from their tribe, you're not part of them, you're alienated, you cannot belong to them. So time came when I wanted to marry my wife, and I remember my father-in-law convened for a meeting. So he invited my parents, invited my father and my mother. And so in company was my wife's cousins and my wife's big brother. And so they said they had invited us just simply to let us know that their daughter would not give me a hand in marriage. And so that was very painful. It was really very painful because I was wondering why anyone would be discriminated. And at some point, I was thinking, if at all I had an opportunity, maybe if I had a choice, I would have not allowed to be born in my
tribe. He really liked her. He wanted that Tutsi.
But then fast forward, because my father-in-law is an associate pastor. So he began to pray about this because when I started,
like 3 years later, right?
3.5
years later.
years.
So they have a meeting and they say, sorry, we brought you here to say you are a no-go.
Of our daughter.
Back off.
Yeah, that's what exactly my brother-in-law said.
Yeah.
He said, I don't care, be it you die or you kill yourself. I even have the recording. He called me and he said, I do not care.
But you're going to let go of that recording.
Yeah,
you're going to forgive your brother-in-law, right?
By the way, we are very good friends, and every time he comes home, we even sleep on the same bed. So I like him at some point.
But it took a while to get there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's because they took the tribe and they made it an ultimate thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That was very painful. But then when I began courting my wife, it took me about 1.5 years for her to say yes. And when she said yes, after a week, she again said no. And I'm like, this is serious. I need to do something about it. So then I began to pray and fast. Though I began to pray and fast on a Monday. And as I was about to break my fast, then I get a voice, a still voice telling me that you will be doing this every Monday and you won't break till the following morning. So I prayed and fasted for 3.5 years, and I didn't know when I would stop. But I'm grateful to God I did.
Did you hold hands with her?
Yeah.
You held hands?
Absolutely. Every
Did
month.
You kiss her?
No.
You get a spanking if you do that in Uganda.
So like every Monday we would hold hands together. There are times she would come and then she would cry, and there was nothing like hope. But after all this period, when my father-in-law prepared a 3 days fast, the voice came to him.
So your father-in-law, after 3 years, did a 3-day fasting. So it's pretty awesome. You know, Jesus talked about, when you pray, when you fast, he didn't say if you fast.
Sure.
So in Uganda, they're fasting. So now his father-in-law is fasting.
Yes.
And for 3 days, and go ahead.
On the second day, a voice came to him and told him that Ronald is your daughter's husband. And so that was it. So he went back home and he's like, you guys, you need to get to terms with it. That boy whom we don't want our daughter to give her hand in marriage is our daughter's husband.
So then a Tutsi was married to what's your tribe?
A Muganda, but presumably a Hutu.
A Hutu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when we had our marriage, when we had our wedding, all those things became old. And now I am a darling son. Not even a son-in-law, but my father-in-law considered me a son. So all that friction is gone.
He can call me a sister. Because like, you're my son.
Sure.
Yeah. He's got every race now because all the race is all in a good, you know, in a good spot, a secure spot, not an ultimate spot.
But the issue here was because of the tribal sentiments, they were living in denial of this. They never wanted, actually, they never wanted the fate because they thought they would be subjected to social shame, like to shame, because it is a big shame for like as someone who is not a Tutsi to marry a girl to a Tutsi girl. So it is a shame. Like many people came to our wedding just to see who is that man. Who is marrying, who is not
His
a
wedding was a
Tutsi.
circus.
Yeah, but he's not a Tutsi, but he's marrying a Tutsi girl. And so, but
And
anyhow,
now you have 2 boys of your own.
yeah, we have 2 boys, 2 biological sons, David and Ray. They're a wonderful blessing to us.
And these 2 take care of 15 boys in the house.
Yeah.
And then there's a house mom in the girls' house. And there's 15 girls there, right? Yeah. So they all work together. So, and they're working together on 10 acres and creating food for other people. And so they took their races and they kept their races in the good place of it's good to have, you know, who you are, your identity is good, but it's not an ultimate thing.
Absolutely.
And I really like how Ronald talked about they were afraid of their identity, they were afraid of their image.
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit of a precursor that we might have something good as an ultimate thing.
Sure.
I love it.
I love my story too.
Yeah, so here we are. And so the next time you're thinking about taking something good and making it ultimate, you know, it might seem pretty drastic to think about the genocides in Rwanda, but that was an issue.
Sure.
And you know, and that was driven by money, you know, and then for the fact that he ends up marrying into this tribe and they married together and everybody resisted. It's just pretty incredible. And sometimes they still get some issues over there, but Ronald and his wife have been very gracious and very kind to others and accepting, and because they know that they're living out their best life together. It's new, it's different, it's you know, it's not, you know, something that created shame from other people. So thank you for being here, and thank you for meeting Ronald. If you want to follow him on Artists Against Hunger, that would be fabulous. So anyway, maybe we'll all be able to Zoom in sometime.
Sure. Thank you.